let's get back on track and talk about 101 customizing. Okay, so now you've softened up the joints. Now you need to pop out those pins. And let me see, did I have a figure here? Here we go. When you're gonna pop a figure open, and the reason you would want to like break, let me see if I'm not sure if it's focusing or not. Let me hold it down, see if this does better. But when you take the heat to this, then you're gonna want to either use a pin punch, something like this, but I think this may be, actually, that may be a little bit too big. Where's that other tool? This is the tool I mainly use.
I actually have those right
open the
here.
joints. Perfect, and that's all you need. So when you're gonna pop these pins out, what you want to do after you've heated, you want to look to see if there's a side that's bigger than the other. And I'm looking at this, and it looks like they're both the same, but sometimes they're tapered. And all you want to do is you want to push from the smaller side and push it all the way through until this pin pops out enough, and then you can either just use this tool, pop it out, and then you've taken apart your leg. So that's one way to kit bash. That's one way to get your joints that you're talking about, Boog, that have paint rub. Now you'll have these completely accessible to you, and then you'll be able to use your Dremel or some sort of rotary tool, and then you'll want to get like a sanding bit. Let me see if I have a sanding bit. But this would all come, and once you buy a piece, it'll come. So you can either use a bit like this. This is the hand-me-down, or an actual, or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, because like when I get the paint rub, I know that it needs dremeled down, but I don't know like the method of how to dremel down, like how much, and because I don't want to shave off too much, and like I said, get it all loose,
Sure, and those particular parts, again, it's a trial by error, and the more you do this, the easier it'll get. Now, speaking of one of the best customizers that I know, Craig Warwick, and people in the chat know who he is. All he does is actually what I did here. I did not pop this open because I didn't think to. I was a little bit rushed, and what I ended up doing, if you look closely, you can see that it's not completely smooth in there. And what I did was I dremeled down. So now watch it have a paint rub. Right now,
that's always the way it works.
No paint rub. Okay, so I dremeled down enough, and then I just checked it. And as you're bending the leg, you're trying to see if it's catching on that lip at all. And if it's not making contact, then you know you've dremeled down enough. And that's how Craig Ward does it. He doesn't break down his figures entirely. However, guys like Loose Collector, there's another just amazing artist. A lot of those guys, Action Figure Toronto, they break the figure down entirely, and they shave down all those joints. I think Brandon Lee does the same. I'm not sure if Chris does or not. I'm guessing that he does as well.
Because I was watching this one custom channel, and he shows you how to make customs. Like, he broke his completely down, into Batroc is what the figure was. He broke it down completely, every joint.
Okay.
And he his last video that he made was 2 years ago, and he said he would be back to show how to do the custom, how to finish a custom. And then there's just no more videos on it. He just got to the part where he primered the figure, and that was it.
Okay, I think I've actually I know exactly what video you're talking about.
Okay, I was going to say, because that one really made me angry, because I watched all those videos and then it just stopped.
And that's the thing. I think we're missing. It'd be great. The thing is that some of these guys make money out of this, so they probably. I think some of them want to keep the cards to their vest or close to their vest, because they don't necessarily want to share secrets. That's why I appreciate guys like Chris Serta when he goes on, and that guy makes money from customs, and he's willing to show people how he makes it. He doesn't care. Same with Action Figure Toronto. Craig Warwick has done a series, but he doesn't do that much of it. His customs are very, very involved. Like the Doctor Strange you mentioned, that is by far the best Doctor Strange I've ever seen.
Yeah, with the bendable cape and everything. That and his Pennywise, the original
The
Pennywise.
Pennywise is pretty phenomenal.
With that suit and everything, that one was awesome.
And what's crazy, I think that may have been one of the first times that Craig Warwick ever used an airbrush, and he did the color on the suit, and it was. But again, these guys, I believe a lot of these guys have an art background. Which, if there's any
Mm-hmm.
guys out there, I was a jock in high school. I played sports. That was my life. The arts were the farthest thing from my mind. But I kind of wish, if I had to do it again, I would take art. I would take pottery.
Mm-hmm.
I would take any of the stuff that because I truly enjoy making these customs now. And as for me, I'm not taking any. I'm not the type of person you want to get commissions from. For me, this takes forever. It takes a really long time. My time is valuable to me. And
That's the way with me. Like when I let's see, like just let's give this for example, this rogue figure, you know.
yeah,
Like I said, even though it doesn't look the best, it took me probably 3 weeks because I'm one of those people that I can't make a custom in a couple days. I've got to take my time, or it's not going to look good at all, you know. I know a lot of people, like professional customizers, can make it within like a week and it be like perfect, but I have to take my time and make them, you know.
right. Here's some other guys that I mentioned, like Jimmy Horton. That's another guy that's incredible custom. You can find all these guys on figurerealm.com. And I know that Chris I'm on his customizing page. Go check that one out. It's an action figure customizing community. It's a page that Chris Serta runs. Go check him out. All right, moving on. Other things that you want to start, you want some sandpaper. Sandpaper, obviously, especially when you're gonna, you're gonna Dremel down a joint to get smooth. Obviously, if you're gonna break your figure apart, this is when you're gonna have a chance to do that. And you want to get 220. I've used 220, and the higher the grit gets, the finer and finer it is. So the less and less it's gonna sand off. So 220, and I have as high as 1,000, but I think 220, 400. And I think there's one in between 400 and 1,000 that it's escaping me right now. You're going to want that. Oh, and when you're dremeling,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you get
Yes, definitely have to use that.
safety glasses because you do not want a shard of plastic in your eyeball and be the next Nick
I
Fury.
know that actually happened to me once. Where is it?
He was almost
I had a peg to a figure I was customizing. I was trying to customize it. It ended up flying into my eye. This peg right here.
Awesome.
I definitely should have been wearing some eye protection there.
Yeah, that would have been the last time you customized. Hey, what's up, Ricardo in the house? Brandon, I do use Aves. I think this is what people call. Yeah, this is Aves right here. The two compound. I know that other people use Milliput, and then there's a Sculpey. Is that what it is? It's more flexible. This is the only stuff I've ever used, and if Chris is in the chat, maybe he can drop down what he uses. I think he uses Aves also. Another thing that you're going to want is some super glue. It could either be, this is the brush-on glue, and then there's the gel type of super glue. But here's a couple of things you use this for.
I use this kind. I'll show you here. You can get like a 4-pack for $1, or is it $1 or $1 something at Walmart? It's automotive super glue.
Okay. And how does that?
Will that work as well?
For you?
It actually works really well.
Okay.
Like I use it to glue on like pieces. Like the best part of this X23 custom, because now that I look at it, it's not the greatest. But that's how I got the claws to stay on, and you can bend them and everything, and the claws won't. Because these arms, like I used some of the arms from the original X23, and I used some from Rachel Gray from the Boog Queen Build-A-Figure. And I used the claws from X23, and I used this glue on, and it's been, I think, since like 2016 was when I made this figure, so it's been about a year or so, and the glue's still holding and everything.
Okay, cool. And so the super glue can be used for several different things. One of the other uses of other than just fitting pieces together, and when you're going to kit bash, oh, I think I lost Boog. When you're going to kit bash, what you want to do is you're going to use this plus Aves to make it, but I think that'll be for some other time if we end up talking about it. Another use for this is if you're having paint rub issues on any joint. Let's say I was having paint rub issues. Let's say I was having paint rub issues here, and I may have some paint rub issues. I dremeled this down and I painted, and I tested it, and I think it's good now. But if I start having paint rub issues, I am not going to take this figure apart. I'm not going to Dremel down this again. I'm not going to paint really that much more anymore. I would put a little bit of super glue, make sure it's not getting at any point where it's going to get the figure stuck. But you want to use this as like an extra layer. Another thing that you can use is, hey, you're back.
Hey, sorry, I was trying to check the comments here and I hit the X on my name.
I figured it looks like you took 15 people with you. You're a big brother. So you could use this also as an extra layer, but super glue works well. This is another. I've had this for a couple of years and I've used it a ton, and I've barely used a quarter of the bottle or a third of a bottle. This is if your joints get loose. Mm-hmm. This is a compound that you can put in there and layer, let it dry, test it out, put more in there.
Will that work on Build-A-Figures as well? Like my Galactus Build-A-Figure is very loose.
Where's your figure loose?
The legs and the swivel with the diaphragm.
What part of the leg?
The thigh and the knees.
So
like the thigh just swivels freely and the double jointed knees just go like that.
If I'm remembering that accurately, I think it's like a ball hinge there at the hip, right? So those are going to be harder if it's twisting. If this is the part that's loose right here when it twists.
Yeah, that's
be hard to stiffen it with the Pledge floor cleaner. But if it's actually the hinge, like if it's a hinge like here,
mm-hmm.
then you can stiffen that joint up. Also, metal, it doesn't really work well with somewhat like pins. That, in my experience anyways, that hasn't worked. So I think I've covered just about, I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but those are tools that you want while you're customizing. I think we covered some techniques to make sure you want to prime your figure, wash your figure, prime your figure. Any questions that you guys may have that are watching, or Boog? Well, so do you have any questions, Boog, that I can answer before we leave?
Do you do the same process for older figures? Like this is an older figure that's joints are definitely weird. Like this is just a single jointed knee, and like the hips are swivel instead of like ball jointed. Like you can see that weird cut right there in them.
Sure. Yeah, so you can definitely put Pledge in there, and it'll help stiffen up the joints. Also, you can use Pledge when you're done painting.
Mm-hmm.
You can put a coat of Pledge on, and that will help. It'll be like a finish. It'll be a glossy finish. So if you're going to do metal, you can if the piece that you're painting you want it to look metallic and keep that metallic shine, then you can use Pledge. If you don't have a spray or something else, you can definitely use that as a finish. It'll finish. It will. It could also thin your paints. So oftentimes when I'm painting with like Game Workshop paints, because Workshop paints, the Citadel brand, they come very thick. So you really want to thin those back to use. I'll use Pledge floor cleaner to thin the paint. Rather than
I never knew that you could do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll help take like the really, really glossy kind of thick look out of my customs, right?
No. Well, yes, correct. Uh, so it'll help thin your paint down. You can thin your paint with water too. You just got to be careful when you're thinning your paint with water. It can get to a point where it'll break down the acrylic and it won't. It'll just break it down at, I think, at a molecular level. I read that somewhere, players, but I have noticed when I put too much water in the paint, it doesn't even function as a wash anymore. It's too broken down to be of any use. So yeah, you can use the floor pledge to break that down to stiffen the joints, and then also to finish your figure. But at the very end, if you're putting it at the very end, that's not going to thin the paint down. It's got to be during the process.
Mm-hmm. So you can also put that on as like a glossy finish too.
Yes.
Now,
Correct.
does I had another question. Does
Sure.
Mod Podge work as like a sealer and gloss?
Yes. Okay, so I have never used Mod Podge as a sealer. But I have read people that have. They say it's not a good thing to use for the sealer. It's better. I mean, if you want to take you want to take your customizing to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
go look and see what the people that do it for money. Go check out what these guys that take commissions. What are they using?
Mm-hmm.
Check out what Chris Serta is using, and that's the best way to go because those guys have used everything already, and they're using what works best for them. Now you just got to test it out and see what it works.
Yeah,
But
it probably
it's
varies,
a issue
honestly.
too, right? It's a
Mm.
money issue because Mod Podge, how much does that cost? Probably not that much. But I mean, you can get a matte finish. I think less than $10 for this can. I can't remember how much I paid for it. It's been a
Yeah, I
while.
actually have some of that.
Yeah, so this is what you want to use. This is what I'm going to use on Thanos when I'm done completely with the paint job on him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use the matte finish. Matter of fact, I already tested out in one of the gloves. I tested it out in one of the gloves. This is probably a glove. It's not going to be on the figure, so I tested it out to see how it would compare, and it's kind of it's. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to pick it up, but this one's a little bit more matte than this glove over here. But this was gold paint, so it's already coming out with a high sheen to it. So it was okay for me to use the matte
I
because
think both of them look good,
shiny.
honestly.
I'm looking over here at the sample pictures that I have that I wanted to kind of look like. All
Mm.
right. So I think if unless you have any other questions, I think we'll end this session. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we covered it pretty well, and I'm going to put that towards my next custom. Try to make
Well,
is going to be the maestro I was telling you about, and I'm going to definitely use these.
good deal. Why don't you tell the people that are watching where they can find you on social media?
You can
Boog Jones
find me on here
Facebook,
as Boog Jones, and I'm on Instagram as Boog.life. Boog Life,
Boog.life.
all one word, was already taken. And you can find me on YouTube as Boog S Reviews.
Very good.
And
All right.
you?
And Code 3 Collector on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.
Peace.